Hey, what is up? What is up, everybody? It is me, Mike Vanderpool, here today with Dalien, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name. I'm going to leave that to you. Dalien, and it is
Ahiekpor.
Ahiekpor?
Yes.
Dalien Ahiekpor, who I've met through some tech events, I think over at Toll House and some other things. You and I struck a little bit of a friendly banter here, picking on me a little bit, which is what folks seem to like to do. I'm here to learn more about you. I kind of know a little bit about where you work, a little bit about your life, but really want to dive a little bit deeper into how you got to now with regards to your career in tech specifically, and anything else that you want to bring up. So thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be here with a fellow contrarian. So, it's one of the things that I peaked with you, Mike, early on, as I remember one of our conversations at Toll House, and you were doing some rant on something, and labeled yourself as contrarian. That's something that I identify with as well. So that's let's get some contradictory opinions going here, right?
Yeah, we'll just do a debate. I'll pick something and then we'll just I'll debate both sides. How's that for a deal? Do you do that like with your contrarian stuff? Like you can just go either way?
Or I think you definitely have to, if you're trying to move the needle in terms of your thought process, you do have to kind of see it from both perspectives. So at least having an argument, not just for your side that you may be leaning towards, but also what's the opponent, what's the opposing side there that you can learn and understand. I think that just makes your side, wherever you're leaning, more robust overall.
So my contrarianness comes from my immense insecurity growing up. Where's yours come from?
Maybe, I don't know. I guess I never identified, but I'd say maybe that's the case as well. I definitely differ a lot from at least the identity I had growing up. So maybe just that opposing and just seeing the world from so many different worldviews and lights and growth really is where I think a lot of it comes from.
Interesting. Yeah, my most ridiculous contrarianness was in grade school, and my friends all loved Michael Jordan, and I just argued that Dominique Wilkins was better.
All right, yeah.
I'm like, that's that's mental problems, right?
Don't put that in our bucket. So,
what are some of the things that you've been contrarian about that you look back and now you're like, what was I doing?
I don't know. That's a good point. It's more of like in the moment. So if I hear something, I don't know if I'd say my opinion changes pretty consistently as I get more information. So I don't think there's like anything I'm like hard stuck like this is a opposing or different worldview, but it's kind of like more in the moment. I'm willing to see it from like play devil's advocate in a way to a lot of different opinions and such.
Well, that probably lends to making you kind of a good technologist, because a lot of the old head technology folks that I've talked to, it's like I have strong opinions loosely held. So when you do run into new information or different information or something that makes you change your mind, you're willing to change your mind, because in our space, the tech space, stuff's changing 24/7.
I mean,
right?
For sure. If you're not committed to being a lifelong learner in the tech space, I don't think you're going to last long, right? There's always something new that's going to either make you either make things that you're doing previously more efficient or make things more even possible that weren't. So understanding what's new, what's the latest and greatest, and how you can leverage that in whatever space you're in. So if you can hold that in the technology world, I think that's going to set you apart, or really any industry. I think that's transmutatable to depending on what organization you're looking at.
That's a good word, man. Well, but yeah, and I hear this AI thing might actually be a big deal. I don't know yet. But that is true, right? You have to be willing to learn everything I know about learning, and throughout all the industries I've worked in. If you're not willing to learn and grow, I don't know how you're going to survive.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's dial it back though. Like, so where are you from?
Born and raised here in Northwest Ohio, Toledo.
Nice,
dude. Grew up here, middle school, went to college here. And,
UT, BG,
UT, go Rockets,
And what was your degree in?
Computer science, engineering, technology.
So where did that come from? Like, when did you figure out that you wanted to be in, air quotes, computers?
Yeah, the short answer to that is when I was a junior in high school, my mom signed me up for a technology camp, and we built a computer. We raffled off the computer. I won the computer.
Oh, let's go.
And then from there, it was like, I'm locked in, right? You win a computer. Now I got to figure out what to do with this gaming machine. And I think that just like learning about that, understanding it, and spending time on that helped me develop, a start to my tech interest. So I just really leveraged that.
So was that like something through a school? Was that something the community group or
It was actually through the University of Toledo.
Okay,
It was like a summer camp, a little week program. So every day it was technology themed. So I had like computer science students, and they were teaching us different basic concepts, maybe how to build a game, understand file systems, hardware.
Right.
And so that really kind of got me interested in that space.
So before that, what were you thinking about doing?
I always thought about going to college just because both my parents are college graduates and my mom's a teacher. So it's kind of like imposed that you're going to go to college. But I was never good at school. I was never like very studious. And so I was probably just going to go the, default business, something, choose your flavor of business school route. But a conversation I had coupled with the interaction and event that I had at University of Toledo was my father mentioned to me, probably when I was getting into high school age, he mentioned he went to school for business and he had a bunch of different jobs throughout my, when I was a child. But he mentioned to me going to school for business himself. He's like, if you want to do business, that's something I can teach you. That's not something you necessarily have to get a degree for. So if you're going to go to school, choose a specialization.
Right on.
And so that's what I did.
Very cool. And I sometimes give the opposite advice, right? Because not everybody comes from a family where somebody's in business. Like if you don't know what you want to do, but think you want to go to college for business because everything's a business.
Sure. And I mean, I see people, although they go to school for business, I see people even in my current role as a technical account manager, maybe having just a business administration degree and they pivot to tech and get a certification or something. And then
because you're dealing with sales, you're dealing with budgets, marketing. I mean, all the operational stuff. I mean, there's a lot of the certificates I'm working on right now that are like IT business analysts. So even at that point, right, taking what comes out on the data side and matching it up with operational needs and being able to communicate and talk about that stuff and the needs of the business. Because none of this tech stuff lives. We don't do tech for the sake of tech, right? We do it usually either to play some games or make some money, right?
Precisely. Yeah.
That's interesting. So, UT, have you lived like Toledo here all your life?
Yeah. Lived off of Hill Avenue growing up, and now I stay in the Southwick area, South Toledo area. It's kind of where I went to school around that area and like it. And starting my career, I work at Amazon, and I started at Amazon as an IT support engineer. So started out at the Rossford location where we built the fulfillment center. Some of the first engineers hired for that, and then was working on we call it DCL5, the Reynolds old Southwick location.
Right.
I was working on that before pivoting over to cloud computing, where I am now.
Well, and help me understand, help the audience understand this. Like Amazon, most people just see it as online store,
Deliveries,
right? Yeah, and deliveries, right? But help me understand, like, how does I understand how IT relates to that because you have to build the website and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. But then there's a whole other arm, wing, whatever of Amazon with Amazon Web Services. Can you help me surface level understand a little bit more about how that's put together?
Yeah. So that's a great one because sometimes when I say AWS, if you're in tech, but if you don't, they're like, I have to say Amazon. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I know. And so Amazon got its start as a book company, right? Shipping books, online bookstore, then developed to what we know now with the millions and millions of products on there. And out of that, just understanding the scope and how much infrastructure, data center, compute power needed to power Amazon, they thought there could be a better way. And so that's kind of was the infancy of cloud, just understanding how do we leverage these data centers that we have.
So, and I'm going to pause you right there, right? So a data center is just a building full of computers. And those computers are storing data and processing, computing that data, turning that into information, then that shows up in your browser or shows up in a pick list for somebody who's going to go pick your order and ship that to you.
Exactly, right? So, and any business, you can think of it, if you're booking your next travel stay, because I work in the travel and hospitality space. So if you're booking that, there's so many things. When you log in, they have to pull your profile. They have to understand, maybe they provide you recommendations off of that, and that's based off data that they have on you. All of that stuff, your profile, the website, if it's going to the cloud, it's essentially just a data center that's not owned by you. it's owned by a company like Amazon,
Mhm.
and you're just outsourcing that. So they run your computers, and you just worry about how you can give your customer a better experience or whatever industry you're in.
And the cloud is on the ground. The cloud is in these buildings
Yes.
with computers.
It is
right?
not above us,
Yeah.
so don't look to see if you can see a data center in space. Not quite yet. I don't know. I hear we're going there someday. So a lot of solar power up in
Yeah.
space, but for the
Ooh.
time being, it is technically on the ground in regions, data centers across the globe.
And is it true, because I think I read this on the internet, that, part of Amazon's growth into AWS and offering storage compute for others was the seasonality of their business. So they'd have to have some high-end compute power to deal with like the holidays. But then during the rest of the year, they had all this kind of extra space that they didn't know what to do with. So they started selling that space. Is that true, or is that
I mean, I can't confirm that, but that makes a lot of sense of how that starts, right? Especially a company like
you have
that.
extra capacity and you're just going to
100%,
sell.
yeah.
It's like I got a warehouse that I'm going to fill 1 month of the year with stuff. 11 months of the year, it's kind of empty. I'm going to go ahead and
let's sell that.
lease that to somebody else.
Exactly. No, that's a great train of thought, and that's probably, I'd say that makes sense.
Yeah, okay.
Put two and two
Jeff,
together.
call us and let us know if that's how it happened. So where do you fit now, or where are you now in the ecosystem, and kind of how did you get there tell me the story of your career at Amazon, I guess.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, started off as an IT support engineer, so got a degree in computer science, did more traditional, went more like the network engineer route. So some of my early jobs out of college was network engineer, sysadmin type roles.
And what is that?
So like running, let's say you have, we're in Toledo, like ProMedica, and all the different computers, systems, apps, they all need updates, just managing the computers for an organization. So that's system administrator work. So I was doing roles like that before getting into Amazon. Found my gig as an IT support engineer, building out a lot of the robotic floors of their fulfillment centers and buildings. So that was a cool gig for a period of time, but I knew I wanted to get back to a customer facing role. So some of my early gigs, I was kind of the guy when you needed boots on the ground or someone to go to the office. I would be the guy to go meet the client. So a lot of
at 23 in your 20s.
Yeah,
that's legit, dude. Nice.
You definitely get to develop some good skills through that. A lot of trial and tribulation, and nothing like seeing the effect of a customer that doesn't have any internet, and then you have to try to fix it. So a lot of it. It was a good way to like be thrown into the fire to come out better, right? And so just doing a lot of troubleshooting, doing things in person. I like that, right? Building those relationships with customers. So at Amazon, I wanted to get back to a customer facing role, and also knew that AWS, the cloud, was definitely the place to be once you're within Amazon. So got a mentor, found out how I can use the skills, my tech skills that I had through my degree in my early career, and found out how I could leverage that to move to the cloud, and got a couple certifications, was able to bridge that gap, and then moved up from there, just working hard, doing things, and making an impact in the organization. So as a technical account manager, we are what's called enterprise support. So if a customer, large companies are running in the cloud, they have a lot of things going on, they'll typically enroll in enterprise support, which gets them access to a bunch of different entitlements, but also gets them someone like me, which is their technical account manager. So I'm there to kind of help them with their operational side of things, any issues they may have, how to cost optimize, save the money. Who doesn't like save money? So it's a good role because you're kind of the hero to some of the issues that they're having in their organization.
Especially the last time I was looking and building curriculum around AWS, like on the admin portal, there's a lot with regard to setting notifications, setting your budgets, your spend limits. Like, pay for what you use, but sometimes, you leave the faucet on and it can get pretty pricey, right?
Oh, yeah.
So somebody like you on the inside that can tell me where to look.
Exactly, I can tell you got a leak over here, you got an issue over here, something, maybe security patches you need to take in consideration. So we work really closely with our customers to understand what drives their business and how we can help them given their AWS ecosystems. I bring in specialists or having workshops with them, just really customize their experience to what they need in the cloud.
Which sounds like it's pretty cool because you probably then also get to learn about their business, right? Because it's not just tech for the sake of tech. It's tech integrated into healthcare, tech integrated into logistics, automotive, hospitality, whatever it might be. So do you have like a specific industry that you work in as part of this?
Yeah. So when I first started as a technical account manager, we were geographically based. So we weren't necessarily designated to an industry. It was just like, you're in Ohio, we're going to try to find customers around you. But a couple of years ago, we changed that and went into industry verticals. So I got put into the travel and hospitality. So one of my customers is a hotel chain. So I moved over with them. And so now I support customers in all the travel sellers, airplanes, how do you get around, and any infrastructure, travel, all that. So,
and you love to travel, right?
I
know you a little bit. You get around.
Good industry alignment.
Yeah. So you sometimes you work and play, like when you travel, or you travel at all for work, I guess is the question.
Yeah. So, we travel to meet our customers. Unfortunately, I don't have any customers here in Northwest Ohio. So a little further out. So I'd travel to them, travel for obviously different work events. Was just out in reInvent. And so
I want to hear about that.
We travel a bit for the gig, but also, just understanding that travel moves the industry and understanding the customer experience, being a customer. That's at least how I just.
Yeah, is that how you justify writing off all of your vacations? So reInvent, tell me about that. First, what it is, and then what was your experience like? Because I think it was your first time.
It was my first
time.
Yeah.
Let's hear about that.
Yeah, so if you're unfamiliar, reInvent is AWS's largest conference of the year. So it's out in Vegas, just like most of the big conferences. And it's all about just the latest and greatest what's happening in the cloud, AWS particularly.
So it's AWS cloud primarily?
Yeah, so it's around AWS as well as partners. So AWS, like I said, cloud computing, they're the data centers. We have a bunch of partners, so we're kind of like the building blocks. And then taken into terms, I know you're a Lego guy, so we're the building blocks, we're the Legos, and then you might have people who are selling you different kits, right? So I just saw, like the Porsche Cayenne Lego built kit. They already have the pieces. They tell you how to put
the instructions of how to assemble it, and it can do the things you want to do.
So that'd be like a partner.
And it's built on the Amazon AWS
100%. They're using the blocks, and you can either build that yourself, or you can have someone build that for you. And
interesting.
So that's our partner ecosystem. So a bunch of different companies, Snowflake, Accenture, most big Fortune 500 companies are leveraging the cloud in some capacity, right? So they come there, meet with customers, if you're in tech, it's a great time. A lot of great announcements that things that are going to change the industry for 2026 and set companies up for, especially AI, obviously being a big push this year. So big conference about everything tech related and
so what were like the top 3 things you learned?
Well, I'd say like the top 3 takeaways was just, getting in front of everyone in person. I think that was fun. Meeting with some of my customers and colleagues. So kind of a party from that sense.
And is that important? I mean, I think it's important in this world of ones and zeros that we play in. Like, it's still human relationships. You want to be able to look somebody in the eye and know that they've got your back when it comes to working as a partner in the industry.
Well, as I mentioned, I wanted to get back to the customer facing element. And that's something that I enjoy. So definitely meshed well there, getting to see colleagues and customers and partners all in one place. That was great. There's a lot of great announcements. I'm pretty heavy into the AI space. So there's a lot of things around agents. And so
let's go.
No, not just from generative AI, like making you a document. Now, how does it upload that document or even send the emails out, like do things on your behalf? That's something that companies are very interested in, especially going into 2026. So seeing how that develops and the announcements around that, couple that come to mind are Agent Forge, which is essentially a way to create your own agents, leverage different capabilities to draft user information and create agents around that. So that's just one, as well as many other things that it's really hard to, there's so many announcements. You're like, it takes weeks to go back through and be like, what's actually going to be something that I can leverage within my organization. So getting ready to have those conversations with my customers.
So we talked about a little bit about how you got to now. We talked about your role at AWS. We talked about reInvent. Sorry, Dalien. Let's talk about where we're at in tech and where you see us going based on your, I mean, you've got a pretty, technologists, we're all kind of here. I think where you're at, you have a little bit of a different viewpoint because of your role, where you're at, and who you work for, I would argue. And what you just experienced at reInvent,
for
right?
sure, right? I'd say that's fair.
So illuminate the rest of us. That's
being on the cutting edge, I think that is one thing that's super interesting about working at AWS. We're essentially building the tools that allow companies to build the things that consumers see. So yes, I do see we have like an insider perspective. Like I said, agents is going to be a big one, not only getting information or extracting information with generative AI, but also having it do things for you, right? So I've been doing a lot of testing with one of the things that comes to mind is it's called like vibe coding's been all the rage in 2025. So you don't even need any experience to start making apps. And an extension of that AWS is leaning on is called Kiro. It's our agentic IDE.
IDE is integrated development environment that
Exactly.
developers use to write their code.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's a place, where you write code, you'd manage it, test it, all that. Place where you can do everything with code. And Kiro makes it easier to...
Can you spell that?
Kiro.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
The branding around it's great. We got a little ghost for it. It's actually really cool. I have a development background from my computer science degree, but it was never something that I enjoyed doing in school. But now with just the barrier to entry and having an assistant to help you develop, and if you run into issues, it can help you with that. I've been enjoying it a lot more than I did in university. So I see a lot of just faster start time. Like, so going from idea to MVP or minimum viable product is so much quicker now, because I don't even need to necessarily do the work, right? Like I can just have an idea, I can give it to my agentic IDE and it just will build something out. I can even give it, hey, I don't like the way that looks. I want you to change it, alter it in this way. And then it makes those changes. So for small companies, I see a lot of development and quicker time to getting something to the market. So the mean time to market is going up quickly. And
Wait, going up, or you mean
going
reducing?
down? Reducing the time to get something from idea to a product. And so that's something I just see. So how that moves the industry is just definitely going to be much faster for especially even small companies that don't have full teams. They just have one or two developers. They can do a lot more with that.
Yeah, because I've always said, and others have said it as well, like ideas are cheap. It's the execution, right? That is difficult, either because it takes a lot of effort or it's expensive, right? Back in the day, air quotes, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, if you wanted to have an app, you would have had to find a developer to come up with the code for that app. You would have had to have a designer or been a designer yourself to come up with the way that looked, and then been able to communicate that to the developers, and maybe a little bit of back and forth because they see things differently than you see things. Now that's been removed, because instead of having to type the code, we're just communicating our ideas to these agents that are then writing, putting the code, assembling the code together for us.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, I would argue code is a lot like music. There's only so many ways you put things together to get it to sound and look and do what it's supposed to do. A lot of code I know is copy pasting from like Stack Overflow or from other things that previously existed. I don't know if there's that much difference in code when it comes to how you get things to happen, right?
Absolutely.
So anyway.
No, it definitely takes, like you said, right? Like, sure, you can compose it differently. You can sample. Like going on your example there, right? Is you can sample from Stack Overflow. It's like sampling a music sample and playing that beat and seeing what you can do with it and altering it to make your own sound, your own music. Very similar in code. And like I said, especially with now, you just can say, hey, I want a Christmas song that sounds like Mariah Carey, and it'll create it for you now. So.
I did that like a year and a half ago, or when Suno first came out. Made a Christmas album in an afternoon here.
Okay, I'm waiting for it to drop.
No, it dropped. It's just, it wasn't very good. No, the marketing that, and now that it's so easy to create things, I'm going to argue that you're going to have to be just better marketer or have better ideas.
For sure.
Right? Because we have all of this. If the barrier to produce content is lower, there's more choices for people. So I do want to take a sidestep. Like when we talk about AI, we've got generative AI, which is what most people have the experience with. Like ChatGPT, write me a poem, write me a song. Suno, ChatGPT could give you the lyrics. Suno could give you the music, and there you go. It's generative AI. Same thing with like Adobe Firefly and creating images and things like that that are used in the Adobe suite. Even Google VO and what it's doing with video, which is pretty freaking impressive. Man, I don't know if Amazon's playing around in the video generation space, but it's a fascinating place because I know from somebody who does media video production that is costly, and some of what this AI stuff is doing is bringing down the cost. Anyway, generative AI makes things. Agentic AI is more like doing the steps for us, right? So if we were to maybe on ChatGPT, hey, give me a list. I really love the beach. Where's a nice place to go to a beach in January? It would give you a list, right? Agentic would actually book that vacation for you versus you having to go and press the buttons. It's basically pressing the buttons for you. Is that fair to say?
Exactly, right? So that is, especially, in the industry I work in, travel and hospitality, great example you just made there. That's what since some companies have that already worked out within their environment, but that's definitely where it's going is, how do I go, now that I've made you recommendations, how do I make it as seamless as possible for you to go from that list to booking your whole stay in a minute, right?
Technology, what it does, it speeds up transactions.
100%.
So it's fascinating because like some of that stuff I think was being done before with like your if statements and pulling from probably smaller data sets. But now, I mean, what are you seeing in the space of agentic AI that is like different from just having some if statements that could do some things for you, I guess?
Well, with if statements, as you mentioned, that was kind of like almost like how agents kind of started. You almost had to have these templates where if a user says this, it kind of reminds me of Alexa. If you know, Alexa, the shows, the Amazon product, and how you can ask it questions, it can do tasks. So people maybe thought of that. It's AI. It was predated generative AI, but how it was built was if someone asked time, like, so you have like a relative understanding of the flow of what someone's going to ask. And then, so you're like, what is the weather here, right? It knows, okay, what is weather? They're looking, what's the location? So it'd get those key details and it'd be able to give you a response. So that's nothing new.
And the inputs were very well structured. You had to follow that input pattern.
Okay. So it had to already have a template that was created that would allow it to do those things. With Agentic, once I take my large language model, I tie it to agentic capabilities called MCP. We'll get into that here in a minute. But now that I didn't have to necessarily do any communications or write all these templates out. The LLM is smart enough to know that, okay, they're asking about this. I don't have a necessarily function or template for it, but I have these access to these tools. This one's a weather tool. Okay, this one's a location tool. This one's a time tool. Let me pull these together and give them the response. So it really makes the barrier to entry. So I didn't have to write out, if I'm trying to make an all-encompassing agent or helper or assistant, I don't have to necessarily make all the flows of the things it can do. I just have to tie it to the tools that it needs to do that. And it's smart enough to make those determinations on itself, what route to take.
So I'm going to be simplistic here with the metaphor, but then also probably be a little bit too much generative AI in this. But like, is it like a choose your own adventure? Is really just if statements. If you want to do this, you're going to turn to this page. If you want to do this, you go to the other page. So there's a cool story that you can engage in and be a part of. But it's all pre-written. What we're saying is that within this model, the agent would actually be able to write the story based on other stories it had experienced.
I think that's a fair assessment of it, right? Like, it's not like a predetermined set of story. It's more of like a blank canvas or a video game where I'm in there and I can do anything that I want once I'm in that environment. Just like, obviously in the bounds of the game or the reality that you're in.
So I have to imagine one of the things that's being developed in the hospitality space is like agentic concierge services. Right? Because again, concierge services tend to be one-off based on what the consumer wants to experience, based on what's available, what shows are available, what the weather's like, all of that stuff. So you don't, to your point, again, you don't have to code all of the potential ifs. the agent is able to do that because of what the capabilities of the LLM to process the language that you're inputting.
Yeah, I mean, companies have already developed different products that can help you. They understand the data, right? So if you're a Marriott member, they know so much information on you. They know what hotels you stayed at. They know where you usually commonly stay. What are your preferences? And now they can use that data on you to create hyper customized experiences, and then also understand maybe the tone that you like to be greeted in, right? Are you more friendly? Do you like more formal? All these things are hyper customization is what's coming, if not here already in your environments. So definitely that's empowering a lot of those just real time. Look, it understands you more than you may even understand yourself. So we have to watch.
Well, yeah. So what is this MCP? Yeah, you know me.
So MCP, that stands for Model Context Protocol.
Okay.
And I was just reading a blog. They just Anthropic, which is a big
they're the Claude people, right?
Yeah, Claude. So it's they're model providers, and Amazon's got a big investment in them. But they created MCP, and they just donated it to the Linux Foundation. They created I was reading an article.
What is it?
So essentially, it's a protocol that allows you.
Protocol is just a set of rules or
exactly. So so it's an open source protocol, technology protocol that essentially dictates how to standardize your large language model, your foundation model, your model to communicate with tools that are available to it. So you connect it to MCP. You have a client, which would be maybe your end device, and then you have a server that has all these different tools. So let's say calculator, location, date, time, all these different things that it has capabilities to, and then the model will interact with the server, understand what's the server gives it access to then take actions on that. So the server really just empowers the large language model with tools that it needs to do various tasks.
And these protocols that live in the technology space are exactly that, a set of defined rules that allow communication between devices, systems, a standardization of that in order to, I think, allow us to scale and use faster, better, more efficiently, because everybody's not coming up with their own ways of.
That's actually how computers work, right? Like a very common one is IP address, internet protocol. It's a standardized way of how my computer talks to your computer or talks to the internet. And that's just another example of a protocol that within the technology realm that allows us to do any of the things that we're doing. So protocols are definitely what drive the tech industry, and having open source so other companies can leverage it and just keep us moving forward.
Very cool, very cool. So MCP is a big thing right now, right?
Yeah, that's unlocked a lot of these agentic AI capabilities, because before you'd have to do a bunch of not that it wasn't impossible, but the amount of time, effort it took for a development team to even tie a large language model to maybe your customer data, or for a payment processing information, or for the weather, all that, it was took way more effort. Not than now I can just tie to it.
And again, it was something that everyone had to do for the most part, right? Every company has to find ways to tie into the data. Why don't we just give a standard way to do that? Then you can focus on cooler problems or cooler features. Very cool. Very cool. So how do you keep up with what's going on in this freaking tech space, dude?
Just, being curious. Like, if you like what you do, it doesn't seem like too much of a lift to learn it. So if you're going to be in the tech field, obviously it can be lucrative. But if you have no interest of technology, it's probably not the avenue that you want to take.
Yeah.
Find another thing that, I don't want to say make your paycheck your passion. If you can do that, that's even better on you. But you have to at least find a middle ground of something that can keep your interest. And so it's not like a chore every time you're going out and studying or learning more. So today, and there's, like I said, there's so many companies who are moving this stuff forward. I was just talking about Anthropic. I was actually just signed up for one of their free programs that walks through a lot of the stuff. I'm kind of in the first program. The next one's going to be MCPs, like the deep dive into how it was created, how to leverage it, how to build servers and all this. But just kind of shows you from start to finish how these things came about. So just having a genuine interest, and it helps to be connected in LinkedIn. I know, between the posts I see of yours and My other colleagues, there's
Do I get in the way of all the other good stuff? Like, dang it, Vanderpool.
I could tech article, and I got much over here saying some stuff. You gotta have that mix, right? You gotta have that mix. So yeah, just having a genuine interest in what you're doing and what moves the industry, and if that's something that's a calling to you, then I think you're positioned well to achieve success in the tech industry or any industry at that matter.
Yeah, I always say, what do they say? Do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. I kind of twist that. I'm like, you gotta do what you love to learn about. Because, like, to our earlier point, this stuff's gonna keep changing, right? AI is not the end of the line. Like, within tech, you never know everything you need to know. You have to continuously be learning and growing because that's just how it works, man. Right?
Yeah.
So I got 2 more questions. You got time for 2 more questions?
I got it. Let's go.
So let's say somebody watches this, a young person watches this, you're like, I want to be that dude right there. And that person came to you and said, hey, Dalien, how do I get involved in tech right now? What should I do to get involved in tech? Right? If you could talk to maybe younger you.
Well, I'll give the advice that I give. I have a few, I'm the second oldest of 5. So
let's go.
2 brothers that are also in tech. So I'll give you the advice that I gave my 21-year-old brother who's been in tech for a couple of years now. And getting certifications is always helpful. I don't even necessarily say a degree is where you want to start. There's so many other avenues where you can learn for a better return. A degree is great. Not, obviously I have a bachelor's degree, so I'm not deterring people from that. But if you don't know that you're going to commit to tech, then spending thousands of dollars to figure out that's not something you're interested in is probably not the best way to go about it. So just there's so many different avenues you can take. You can go into data, you can go into networking, you can go into coding. There's so many different avenues. Understand what in tech is something that you're passionate about. So identifying, doing a little internal digging and what drives me, what is actually interesting here, understanding what certifications you can get to get quick barrier to entry to show that you have some skills, and then try to get an entry level job from there. And if that's something that you then enjoy once you get into a position, then you can commit maybe to a degree to help you get upward mobility. But really just getting the easiest way to get started is a certification to get that validation to potentially get yourself the first job. So that's where I'd start, and just, do some soul searching there.
And couple that with talking to people like you, showing up to Tech Night at Toll House, some of the events that are going on, and just meet people in the space who have experience, because there's not just one, we talked about Silva, right? There's not just one path into tech, right? There's so many different ways in. There's also so many freaking different things you can do that you don't even know, not you, but you don't even know what the options really are. The best way to figure out what those options are come in, hang out, talk to people, get that entry level job. Hey, can I job shadow you for a day? What is it you really do? Like, if you want to be in this space, you got to be proactive about getting yourself into the space.
Absolutely. I think that would set you head and shoulders above the competition, right? Because it is a competitive space. So if you want to be competitive, the easiest way to do it is meet people who are doing the things that you want to do, ask them how to do it, and you might find opportunities that way.
Well, and I know as an old person teacher, if a young person comes to me with an interest and expresses some bit of desire, dude, that gets you excited, right? Because you're like, holy crap, this person is excited about this. I got to do my best to make sure they have an opportunity for success.
Yeah.
So show up and be excited, and that's number one. You're from Toledo for a long time, but you've been a lot of different places, right? Let's say this, you have the opportunity, someone's coming in to hang out for a day, right? You've got 24 hours with somebody who's never been to Toledo before. Where are you taking them for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and for fun? Like, how do we show off Toledo based on your experience?
Wow. Okay. I'd say I'm not a big breakfast person, but I'd say I do like coffee. So, Maddie and Bella is like a local coffee shop, is always good. Or even Big B's, the one that I commonly go to. Start off with a nice morning coffee. Next place I'd take them is the Toledo Art Museum.
Right on.
Being a local here, that's definitely a place I spent a lot of summers. My mom would always take us there, and So I have fond memories of the Toledo Art Museum. Definitely great art museum to go to. So I'd spend a few hours there. If you're hanging around, depending on how much time you got a nice zoo. And that's kind of
Okay, Dalien, you're giving me all the standard. Let's go.
Okay, well, I mean, Toll House is a good one if we're going to, depending on if you were coming in, you were out of town, maybe go to Toll House, enjoy a cigar, meet some cool people in the area doing some great things. Lunch.
Lunch. Sorry.
Lunch, maybe Poco Piatti or something like that. I'm a big Mediterranean. We have a lot of good Mediterranean spots around. So maybe something like that. And I'd say for a dinner spot, I've been trying to get more places around downtown Toledo. So I do like, once again, on the Mediterranean, Souk's a good one. I've been going to, there's another place I like to go. Dirty Bird. I don't know, like
the Lamberger.
We're going to maybe a Mud Hens game or something like that for hanging around downtown. Dirty Bird's always a good pre-stop before a game. So yeah, something like that.
And where are you getting drunk at?
I guess downtown, either Table 44 if you want a cheap drink, or maybe Migos or something like that.
Right on. Awesome, dude. Is there anything else? I mean, we could probably talk forever, and we didn't even get into anything contrarian, but we'll say
we'll save that for the next one. You can't. This one's the reel them in, then we'll get to the second one where we get to our hot takes.
Yeah, right on.
No, it was definitely a pleasure to be here with you, Mike. I know we've been holding this off for a minute now, so it's just great to be in the environment. And this year's been all about, for me, been growing some of those local communities. So we definitely have some good people over at Toll House Tech Night, Tuesdays, 2nd and 4th, I believe. So if you're in the area and you're trying to get more into tech, definitely a place I recommend you to meet some like-minded people who can give you some good perspective. So
I appreciate your time, Dalien. Young people in tech, inspiring younger people who want to get into tech, dude, that's what it's all about. So I appreciate you coming here and illuminating me a little bit about what you do and what's going on in the tech space at AWS and obviously other places. So folks, appreciate your time checking it out. We will continue to tell the story of cool people doing cool things here in Northwest Ohio as we make it happen. Be good to each other.